What's going on, gang, and welcome back to Scared of Normal. We've got a pretty dope episode today. I'm really excited about this one. I say that every single time, but I am always excited about these. But this one is extremely special because this is a project that we've been working on for nearly 4 years, which is kind of bizarre to think about, and it's finally come to fruition.
Dude,
so
look at these things.
I know.
So, Snapchill. Where do we even jump in?
Bizarre. Like, this is... Holding this in my hand and being able to take a sip out of this can is like the most surreal thing to me. You know, like I was joking around with Cheyenne, my wife, yesterday. I opened the fridge and I had one of the 6-packs sitting in there, and I was just like, dude, it just hit me in the face. And I was like, whoa.
I need to take a photo of this.
Yeah, I was like, that's bizarre that is in our fridge.
Totally.
Like, it's real. So.
Well, we started, right? And like ready to drink, energy. And
yeah.
Always heading up to the skate park. And
Yep.
it's funny how long we've talked about it. And finally.
Well, it's I think it's a tough thing. We've talked about it for so long. And I think the big reason for talking about that for so long, the reason that that's been in our brains essentially since day one, was because coming from Hotbox, the coffee company that I was running before we started Traction, like the big thing we did there was nitro cold brew in a can.
Yeah.
Right. And so like then coming over to start our own thing, like we knew from day one that was something we wanted to do.
Yep.
But when it came to, funding, buying a canning line and all that stuff, is like you're talking 6 figures easy right off the jump. Yeah. And then all like producing a nitro cold brew, like you have to be FDA compliant because it's a food product. And like there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through.
Yep.
So yeah, we just couldn't do it, and like from day one, we were looking around for different suppliers or co-packagers to help us make it possible. But there really wasn't anybody out there that made sense for us, and like I was super critical from the jump to find somebody critical of the people that we were looking at, because coming from Hotbox and knowing all like the regulation and all the different factors that go into it, like quality control and all of that stuff, we didn't want to choose the wrong person and have our brand reflected
for sure
incorrectly. Like just a few things to talk about, like when it comes to quality control and like safety risks of producing a packaged coffee product, especially cold brew. Cold brew, there's no kill step involved. And for people wondering what a kill step is, it's something like pasteurization, which is usually done through heat, which would disturb the fact that it's cold brew, which is brewed cold, or some sort of additive. And we don't want to add any sort of chemical or anything like that to the coffee.
But for like beer, the alcohol kills it.
Yeah, alcohol kills it. And naturally beer, like if you make a bad beer, it's not going to taste good. You're just going to know right away, like if there's bacteria in there or whatever. But like with cold brew, it's like there is no kill step. So like it's super prone to bacteria growing in there. So like botulism or listeria, like you can kill somebody really quick.
Yeah, I bet they got, obviously you're in it, Hotbox,
Yeah.
and you're like, you getting into it. You're like, oh, we'll make some cold brew. And then it's like, all right, dude, if I mess this up, you could kill somebody, right?
Like literally the amount of sleep that we lost, like producing that stuff was insane, like, and we never released batches until we got the lab test back. But like the other hard part when there's not a kill step involved and it's cold brew is that you have to keep it cold. So we were keeping it cold and we were delivering it cold. But if we were going, like Whole Foods was one of our big customers. So like there's a lot of transportation that happens between us delivering it to the distributor and the distributor delivering it to the store. So say the distributor delivers it to the store and somebody doesn't put it in the cooler right away. Well,
totally.
Now there's potential for bacteria.
And it's a very small risk, but it's still there.
It's still there. So that was like a really scary thing. Like as we started venturing into a Traction cold brew or packaged ready to drink coffee, is like, well, that risk and liability, we don't want that. I would feel terrible just making somebody sick at all, so like I didn't want that over our heads. And so that was a really scary thing.
It's hard because we've been, how good does this product fit our lifestyle? The community around. It's like, go to the skate park, go to the trailhead. We've needed it for a long time.
Just that ability to like grab and go. Like that's such a cool freaking thing. But
it's like 6:30 skate park sesh this morning, right?
Yeah.
So it's we grabbed them. They're on the deck, and it was just so easy.
Yep. You know? Or I even think about it, like going, like that was the cool thing about the hot box is like throwing it in the backpack and like going for a mountain bike ride, and like you could be out on a 30-mile ride and halfway through you drink that cold brew and like you're back to 100%. So, or backpacking trips or whatever it is, like having the ability to have a portable, ready to drink coffee where you don't have to take some way to brew coffee. That's pretty cool.
Yep. So before we get too deep, we went a Snapchill versus a cold brew, right? Yep. So everyone's probably going to ask, like, what is Snapchill and why did we go that way?
Yep.
So, with Snapchill, we start with a hot brewing.
Yep.
So that unlocks a lot of flavor, clarity. So when we use more expensive coffees, they'll actually shine through. Whereas a cold brew is going to mute the acidity and basically not showcase our coffee. And
totally.
We don't buy cheap coffees. So it's like, that was our big thing.
Yeah, we want those like peaks.
Yeah.
We want those flavor notes to shine through. And like, there is a lot of pluses to the cold brew aspect for people who, can't drink normal coffee because of the acidity. But like personally, and for most people I know that really enjoy coffee, they like that acidity in their coffee. So being able to present a ready to drink coffee in that way is pretty freaking cool.
But it's not like acidic.
No.
It's not like a tangy Kenya or something like that.
But you do have like peaks and valleys in there.
Exactly.
As opposed to like a kind of a linear taste profile, which is super cool. So yeah, it starts with a hot brew, and immediately after it's brewed, it goes through a heat exchange essentially, and it chills really quickly, which creates a delicious cold coffee. In fact, we made tens of thousands of gallons of cold brew at Hotbox, and it was incredible. But I think this beats that product 10 times over.
I think it's really going to shine with, both of these. You have the Stable, which is a Colombia Guatemalan blend.
Yep.
I feel like those nutty flavors come through, and then the Ethiopia, it's like you can actually taste that sweetness because it's a natural coffee.
Yeah, you have like a sugarcane sweetness coming through, and like some of that fruitiness, and like even with this Stable one, like when we were first getting samples working with Snapchill, like it kind of tasted like a Milky Way, like candy bar, like has that chocolatey and like nougaty and graham crackery. Like it just, I don't know, it's freaking incredible. So
let's talk about the first step of Snapchill, hot brew.
Yep.
So kill step, right?
Yeah, that's a kill step.
Yeah.
So that means that this product, like for best results, obviously keep it cold.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna get sick if it sits out warm.
Exactly.
Which is a really cool thing to us because like that means that you can throw it in your backpack and not have to worry about it. Or if you leave it in your car, you don't have to worry about it. So like that's a really cool factor. And that's actually the first time that's how we kind of stumbled into Snapchills. Like we're probably 2.5 years old for traction at this point when I found Snapchill, and I was in San Diego, California, and I walked into a coffee shop with my wife, and they had like a pyramid of cans sitting out warm. And I was like, oh, that's really not good. Yeah. Like knowing, the cold brew backstory that I just talked about. And, I kind of stumbled into the founder of that coffee company, and we got to talking, and he started telling me about Snapchill, this company. It's their company name and it's the process as well. So he starts telling me about Snapchill, and I'm like, wow, that's freaking incredible. And I put a note in my phone to like check it out, but it was kind of like one of those things out of sight, out of mind. A couple weeks later, I was traveling to Nashville, walked into a coffee shop, different coffee company, and there was more cans sitting out. And I was just like, all right, I've got to figure out what this is because we need this. Like, this is incredible. And I bought cans at both places, and they both tasted great. So I hit the company up, and they were literally, I got a phone call probably 15 minutes after I sent the email. And the guy over there, his name's Kyle, and it's been absolutely a freaking treat working with them because it's just been so transparent, and their values really align with ours in terms of quality control and like being able to present a product at the highest level possible.
Yeah.
So from that first conversation with him, I was like, this is the company we're working with.
Yeah, I feel like once we found them, we haven't looked back.
Totally. No, like at the same time, like congruently, I was looking at several different co-packagers.
Over the past 3 years, I could list off more
dozens,
so many.
And so I remember calling you after, I talked to him, and I was just like, dude, I think we found it. And he was like, yeah, send over some samples. of coffee, roasted coffee. So we sent them over some samples. And the first batch of like the R&D stuff came back, and
it was beautiful.
Yeah, we were like, okay, this is cool. And like there was kind of a lull from I would say what was that? Probably October of last year.
Yeah.
Probably around then. And then we just got slammed. We just got so busy. So like the project kind of went by the wayside, staying in touch with them. But yeah, we picked it back up a couple months ago and like really pushed the R&D with them. And we came up with what's in front of us right now. And like I guess talk about like label design too, you know. It was like that moment, like it was like 3 or 4 months ago. It was like, all right, like we had agreed that this was going to be a real thing. And so I was like, well, we need labels. And so I would say probably by the time I came up with the label that's on the can right now, I probably did 50 different labelings.
Oh yeah.
I'll put some of them in this video if you're watching, just so you can check out what they may have looked like. But what we came up with in the final iteration, I'm pretty excited about. It looks far different than anything else that's on the shelf. It's very recognizable, and it represents traction in a really great way. So.
It does. And like those versions, there were so many that I liked, but it was like, all right, what's going to, like you said, stand out on a retail shelf? What represents us? And there's other aspects of other designs I liked even more, but it's like in certain aspects it's hard. It's like you take and give. And
and also like thinking about like how it's going to look on a retail shelf.
Yep.
Like a consumer packaged good, like is it going to look how somebody wants it to look at a Whole Foods? Like keeping those things in mind is so difficult when it comes to designing something like this. So like, those really fun, cool, crazy things that could be are so difficult to like translate through to a can that is going to go potentially on those shelves. So
and how do you say the most with the little?
Totally.
There's so much information. I'll be like, "Cute, check this out. It's a rad product," but don't like overwhelm them. So
yeah, I'm really stoked with the final product.
Yeah.
Let's talk about cost a little bit.
I know. I was thinking about roast profiles. I did a little different on the Ethiopia for this to shine through, and then cost, right? And even before that, what about caffeine?
Yeah.
So caffeine with the hot box cold brew.
Oh,
it was
man.
like 400.
Yeah, 420 milligrams.
Yeah.
Should we tell the little backstory on that? Because I love telling people this story. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on one of these podcasts, but when we were developing the cold brew for hot box roasters, we were drinking like a half gallon each. We're doing all kinds of different roast profiles, flavor profiles, blah, blah, blah. And we had kind of invented our own process as well to create this cold brew. And for like a month there, I was sleeping terribly, very anxious.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor and they were like, I don't know, like did a sleep study. Couldn't figure out what it was. And we got to the end of this R&D. We decided which coffee we were going to run with Hotbox. And we brewed the big batch, which was like 450 gallons. And before we had to put that out in the world, or before we could put that out in the world, we had to send it to a lab so we could get the testing done to make sure there was no bacteria growth in there. And I saw on the lab thing, like there was a form that you had to fill out for the stuff that you wanted to be tested for, right? And one of the boxes was caffeine. And I was like, oh, that would be fun.
Of course, yeah.
Like why not? And it was like a couple $100, but like I was like, we'll just do this once and then we'll know. And it came back, and like the name is like a wee joke anyways, Hot Box Roasters, and it came back 420 milligrams per can. And I was just like,
dude, that is so much.
Yeah, I mean, that's nearly 5 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
And so it all clicked. I'm like, this is why I'm so anxious and can't sleep, is because I'm drinking half a gallon of this stuff.
Totally.
So I don't know the quick math on that off the top of my head, but it's a shitload of caffeine.
It is. So yeah, it's probably like 5 8-ounce cups, but
yeah.
So ours is around 200 to 225, so half the caffeine in that. And it's like perfect. It's like a double shot or like 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah, it's more approachable, and like I made the Hotbox cold brew.
Yeah.
I made pretty much every piece of it, and I couldn't drink the whole can myself.
I know.
Like half a can was like enough for me. So this 12 ounce is like, not only does it taste great, but at the end of it, you have that nice, like
it's the
super consistent buzz, you know? And like we've been drinking them for a couple months now with the R&D batches and stuff, and like I can't get enough of it. It's like the perfect hit.
Yeah,
so,
I never get too jittery.
Totally.
That's I was laughing when we were talking about it. So Big D, our other business partner with Espresso Forge, we had all our R&D product, and like literally every day come and crack. And I was like, where'd that go? And he's like, dude, these are so good.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you need to start paying us, dude. These
Yeah,
are
no
not
doubt.
cheap,
But
you know what I mean?
it's sick. I mean, Big D's what, probably mid 60s,
Yep.
and he was enjoying them. So
Good old boy from Wisconsin.
yeah, we love them. You know, people in their mid 60s love them. So that's a good sign, right? Like that was one of those things. That was before we had committed to actually doing this. And like we peeked in the fridge one day and there's probably like 4 or 5 6-packs that he drank almost by himself, I'm pretty sure. And that was kind of one of those moments where we're like, okay, we're not biased at this point because he thinks it's good too.
Totally.
So,
but yeah, price, man. Where do we even start?
Yeah.
I mean, commodity price. The
Yeah.
market price went from under $1. It's been hovering around 2 to 2.25. So
yeah,
it's kind of cool. Farmers are getting paid more, but our prices are 200% up.
Yeah.
You know, like
I mean,
pallet
over the
price.
last year and a half, coffee has been the highest commodity price rise overall,
Yep.
which is bizarre to think about. Like of all the commodities in the world,
Yeah.
coffee has seen the highest price increase. And like you said, I'm stoked. I want the farmers to be paid more, but it's hard to translate that to our customers or to a consumer who drinks coffee. I see it on Facebook all the time. People saying they're upset that their Starbucks costs more or whatever it is. And like, it's really hard, I think, when you're kind of out of touch with what's going on at the farm level, whether it be climate change or COVID's affecting them seriously as well. And then when you think about how the coffee has to get here, which is on a, freight ship, like
that's the
that's
biggest thing
insane.
too,
Like
right now.
Yeah. I mean, containers have gone from being $2,000 to $6,000 to being $20,000 plus.
Yep.
So, and that's affecting everything. That's why you're seeing products being inflated the way they are just across the board.
Yep.
So yeah, when we started this project, these cans were going to cost us half of what they cost us right now, which is insane to think about.
That's what we get for sleeping. No,
Yeah,
just kidding.
for real.
But
I mean, it
talking
would have
about-
happened
it
regardless,
would've,
you know.
yeah. Talking about freight, I was talking with our importers, and the freight industry is so crazy right now. They're not even sometimes recognizing pre-signed contracts.
Yep.
You can be like, hey, if you want this to be on, like you need to pay an extra $3 or $5
It's the highest
grand.
bidder.
Yeah, and then they'll pay it, and then be like, like it actually didn't get on that, freight.
Dude,
and then,
it's
like, you need to
crazy.
pay another $3 or $5 grand.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are you gonna do? How are you getting it from South America? And the stories I keep hearing from the importers, I'm just like, dude, that is insanity.
Dude, it's all-time bizarre,
But because everything, right as it gets off those shipping containers, we're getting it so quick, So there is one, light in the darkness is that we're getting the freshest coffee we ever have. Like
Totally.
that Porto Alegre we just got, like literally it
came off the boat.
Yeah, straight to us.
Yeah. Which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
Like unless you're like getting stuff like air freighted, which like you're talking stupid money.
Yep.
But like that's kind of unheard of. So there, like you said, there is some positives to it. But the other big piece of cost in relation to just a canned product, whether it is the Snapchill or the cold brew, is that it does require more coffee. So you're talking 2 to 3 times the amount of coffee it would take to brew a normal cup to make this type of product. Yeah. So that's why you see, I mean, the one that always blows my mind is like Stumptown.
Yeah.
When I see that on the shelf at like a Whole Foods or a Sprouts, like any grocery store, that can is $6 to $6.50 for 10 ounces, which is kind of bizarre to think about. But like when you look at what goes into it, like cost of cans, aluminum has gone up like crazy. And then cost of coffee, production, like the amount of production that goes into making a product like this is really crazy. Labor is crazy for this stuff. Like I remember being at Hotbox, like it was a pretty miserable job.
Yeah.
Canning a product like this is really hard, especially because you don't have the assistance of CO2 like you would with like carbonated water or a beer or anything like that. Like you have to use liquid nitrogen to get the can to be firm. And if you're wondering why a can needs to be firm, a couple reasons. It's to get oxygen out. Oxygen is really bad for basically any beverage. It's going to oxidize it and make it taste terrible.
Or coffee beans or
Yeah,
most things, right?
Yeah, oxygen's pretty bad for any kind of product for the most part, even, whatever. And then also when you're palletizing stuff to ship it, if the cans aren't firm enough, that pallet is going to just explode.
Yep.
So there's so many variables that go into production with a product like this, and that kind of bumps the cost up too. So
yeah, that's why canning water is So tough.
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
I just rode the skate park the other day with the CEO and founder of Liquid Death, and he was saying they're actually getting ready to bring production of Liquid Death to America.
Nuts. Yeah.
But they've been a company for years and years now. They've been busting their ass, and they've recently started blowing up. But in the early days of that company, he said he called endless amounts of people in the United States and all over the world for that matter, trying to find somebody who could package water, still water. And he couldn't find anybody. And he ended up finding somebody in Austria. But that's because you have to use liquid nitrogen. And liquid nitrogen is a very volatile packaging resource, because too little, you have a floppy can. Too much, you have a hand grenade.
Yeah.
And I've seen stuff dude, at Oscar Blues, when I first started running Hotbox, they had to recall a bunch of beer that was on nitrogen because they were just exploding.
Oh shit.
So hitting that right on the head. There's, like I said, there's so many variables that go into making a perfect canned coffee. So yeah, there's where the cost comes from, if you're wondering why it is a little more expensive. But if you look around, we're trying to keep it right at that market value or market price, and make sure that it's hitting all the boxes, and we want to make it as affordable as possible. So
yeah. And then I guess the big one for me, cans.
Yeah.
Infinitely recyclable.
Yep.
They'll turn back into cans, 2 to 3 months, 60
Yeah.
to 90 days.
Yeah, if you recycle a can, it's back into being a can in less than 90 days, which is freaking bizarre. I think there's a statistic out there, and don't quote me on it, but I think I want to say it's 85% of aluminum ever produced is still in use today.
I was reading that, yeah.
Which is literally insane to think about, because there's no other material that humans have produced that have been recycled and still reused that much.
Totally. It's
So
the only thing I want to throw in my pack, you throw
Totally.
it in, you crush it, throw it back,
Yep.
pack in, pack out, obviously.
when you really think about a can,
Yeah.
it's a mini keg.
Exactly.
And kegs are so great for beer because it keeps oxygen out,
Keeps light out.
Yeah. And that's another huge aging factor with a product, is if light's touching it, it's aging it quicker. It's making it go bad quicker. That's why when you look at the craft beer industry, why do you think everybody is getting away from bottles? It's because the science is finally showing that a can is better. Nobody is packaging their beer in a big glass keg. It's all in a metal keg. There's a reason for that.
It's even the glass vials I see for single dosing espresso, I'm just
just for the beans itself.
Or even just the Atmos, I don't like the clear ones.
The clear ones, yeah.
That's why we only sell the black
Looks
ones.
pretty.
Yeah.
But any sort of clear packaging for a coffee product or a beer product is generally not as good.
Yeah.
So
anyone listening, if you have your coffee stored in a mason jar, which is fine, throw it in the cabinet. Get it away from light. So
that'll help keep it more fresh. That'll keep it more fresh than most people's conception is putting it in the fridge or the freezer. But light is the big factor. Temperature is not a huge contributing factor to beans themselves, but yeah. Let's see, what do we have next? I guess let's talk about the community aspect of this.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started, it's that energy drink replacement. I mean, our whole lives have been in action sports, and those have been pushed on us so much.
I mean,
Red Bull girls at the skate park.
I'm guilty of drinking it. I still, to this day, if I'm on a road trip, I'll walk in and get a Red Bull. But that's built into me, like you said, because from a young age, you'd be riding the skate park and a Red Bull car would pull up, or a Rockstar car pulls up, and the cute girl gets out and she's handing you a drink, and you're just hooked. And then your favorite bike rider rides for these big brands. And I'm really stoked that friends of ours are getting paid very well to do what they love by these brands. But the hard part for me, and the realization that we're starting to come to, is that the people that are running these companies, or the people who started these companies, are profiting off industries that they're not even a part of. And that's really hard for me to wrap my head around. And it's something that in the last couple of years we've talked about a lot, right? What do you always say?
Oh, yeah, vote with your dollar.
Yeah.
And just support the industry. It's that. It's the biggest thing you could ever do.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, the sign you hold, if you give them money, that's it, you know what I mean? But everyone says support local business. It actually does matter. That's the biggest thing you could ever do.
It's I mean, more or less now, it's like, dude, when I'm going to go have a beer somewhere, I'm going to go to a locally owned brewery where I can talk to the person who owns it.
Totally.
Because I know when they go out and spend money, they're thinking the same way because they're a local business owner, and the money goes back into our community.
That's the big thing.
Whereas if I'm supporting a big conglomerate, the money goes into, a CEO's pockets or into some board members' pockets,
Yep.
and it leaves our community.
But yeah, if we're let's say we all support the local brewery here, those people are going to rise in our communities,
Yep.
and they're going to take care of Longmont,
Yep.
Boulder. Whereas we're supporting, those industries that, the wealth strips to the coast. They don't give a fuck about middle America.
Nope.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing is because we'll take care of our home.
Totally. And
No
it
one else
comes
will.
back full circle to like these more niche industries like BMX or skateboarding or moto. It's like if we can continue to grow this brand and become that energy drink replacement, we just had an event at the beginning or middle of May, a BMX event that was so fun, and like we're still not collecting paychecks from Traction, but we are giving money away.
Yeah.
And any way we can support these industries, we're going to, whether that be more events where we're giving money away or endorsing or sponsoring riders. Like we want to be a part of that because this is the world that we come from.
It's where our heart's at.
Yeah.
And like as corny as it sounds, like being in the cut, like that's what matters to us more than anything.
Yeah.
Right. It's like going on that ride. It's the only thing that lets us escape from the world,
Well, we want something that people are proud to drink, right? It's
100%.
It's people that look like them, talk like them, act like them, and get the struggles, That's like the hardest thing for me. I've talked to several people that have turned down energy drink deals because they can't relate, and like those companies always talk about creating community and being a part of a community, but they're not actually trying to do that. They're just trying to make money.
Well, they're not doing it, right?
Yeah.
It's like the homie from Liquid Death calling out the people to like a game of skate. It's like, dude,
he called every CEO out from
Yeah.
every major energy company, and Mike is his name. He challenged every CEO or top level people from these energy drinks companies to a game of skate because he is a skateboarder, and he's in the industry. He's marketing to the people, to himself, which is really freaking cool. So
not one of them got back.
No. And I think there's a lot of value in that. You see a lot of like where people's intentions are. Like, the dude who's the CEO of Red Bull has never touched a skateboard. And if he has, like, he was holding it to put it on his wall, like, I don't know. I think that there is, going back to that, vote with your dollar. It's like, let's really support the people who are supporting the industries that we care about or supporting our local communities. Like, there is a lot of value in that. And like, just because you can get it cheaper somewhere else, who are you, at the end of the day, where is that money going?
Oh, yeah.
Because like, I see it all the time. People, say, oh, I can get that cheaper on Amazon, or I can buy this product cheaper from someone else. It's like, who owns that company?
Yep.
What are their values? Like, the older I get, that's the kind of thing. I don't care if it's a 99-cent water or a $10,000 car. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know like where that money is going, whatever it is,
It's tough. And then I think it's like bystander effects, like, oh, one person doesn't matter or whatever it is. It's like everyone does matter. It's like saying your vote doesn't count, when it comes. And it's like, yeah, if we all say that, we're doomed. But if we all stand up, like, that's how the world changes, right? And,
totally.
We always joke that if all our friends bought one bag of coffee every once in a while, we'd fucking be taking a paycheck and all these things. And it's not like we're doing bad, but it's, cost of coffee is up. We only passed on 15% of our, price increase. So we ate a ton of our cost, inflated cost, just to keep it down for people. And it's tough, like, it's cool to have so many people supporting us though at the same time.
Totally.
Like, just seeing all the names roll through, but
I mean,
it's like, it's hard though. It's like Amazon, it does get there in 2 days and this and that.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of value in that, but like, you also have to understand like that value comes at a cost.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe not to you right now, but we all love local businesses, but every time we purchase from Amazon, we're hurting those local businesses.
Yep.
And I think that's the tough thing. Like, we're all guilty of it.
Oh,
I'm
100%.
guilty of it.
I was just thinking about like the last thing I bought. I was like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, we're all guilty of it.
It's always the 2-day ship time. It's not that I need it. It's like working on my truck.
Yep.
And I like need some spark plugs or something. I forget what it is. I was like, boom.
Well, and I think, the culture that we're in right now, like, I really hope it starts to change in this way, but I think we're also desensitized to intention.
Yeah.
Right? Like having the intention to eat specific food or whatever. People, myself included, just kind of go about their day and just run through the motions, but stepping back and involving some intent in what you're doing, I think there's a lot of value in that, whether it's, what coffee you're drinking or whatever it is, what kind of beer you're drinking, what restaurant did you go out to, where you are buying your products from. Like,
it's hard to slow down.
It is
we're
hard.
Just flooded with ads, and it's easy just like click Apple Pay.
Yep.
So,
and
yeah,
there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there as well.
Oh, for sure.
So, I think just involving some intention in the daily routine, I think really, really changes the game. And then you will start to see more local businesses performing at high levels and doing great things in the community. Like you see the community we live in here in Longmont. Like, I talked about it in my podcast, but a decade ago, 15 years ago, like growing up here, like the community is not what it is now. It's flourishing right now. It's beautiful. Like there's people out and about, and it's fun to be here.
Yeah.
But that's because, people are spending their money within the community, and it's staying in the community. It's kind of a revolving door, and it continues to build the community up. Whereas before, there was a ton of massive corporations here, chain restaurants, da-da-da-da-da. That stuff's going by the wayside. Like there's a new tiki bar restaurant here in town called 𝙎𝘾𝘼𝙍𝙈𝘼𝙇, and it's where a Outback Steakhouse used to be. And like, I think that's so freaking cool that an Outback Steakhouse, a chain restaurant, went out of business, and a local business is in there now, and like they're employing probably over 100 people there.
The place is huge.
It's huge, and they've done a really good job, and it's unique, and they're buying local ingredients. Like all their meat comes from a local farm. Like all that stuff it means something because the money, again, is staying in the community. So yeah, I don't know. Kind of got off on a little rant there, but I mean, vote with your dollar, seriously. But
I'm gonna say it again: vote with your fucking dollar.
Yes.
But yeah, man.
I think lastly, I want to give a massive shout out to anybody listening right now, and if you're not listening and you're part of the Traction family, like, fucking thank you. Like when this pallet of coffee showed up, and I unwrapped it and saw that first can, like literally I had tears rolling down my fucking face. Like I'm getting emotional, like thinking about it right now, like looking at this can. It's like, it's surreal. It's surreal to see a dream realized after 4 years of us like having our nose to the grindstone. And like, like you said, we're doing pretty all right, but we're not rich by any means. We haven't taken a paycheck. But we couldn't afford the canning line, or we don't have the bandwidth to do it ourselves, and finding a company that did align with us that allowed us to create this product, and it's huge, and having the capital at this point to be able to pull the trigger on 1,000 cans of snap chilled coffee is
it's sick.
It's unreal. Like 3 years ago that wouldn't have been possible. 2 years ago it probably wouldn't have been possible. So,
and then it's hard. It's like if we would have pulled it, then our coffee prices went from $4,000 or $5,000 a pallet to now to $7,000 to $10,000 a pallet. And it's hard. Like when that pallet came in, I texted you and I was like, dude, all that response from the Traction family. I mean, your Instagram was flooded, so was mine, and it was just, where can we get this? When is it open? And I told you, I was like, dude, all the hours of just like, nose to the grindstone, not getting paid. It's like those messages mean the world. It's funny how like impactful they are over even taking a paycheck.
Totally.
I was like, dude, it's fucking, everything's worth it,
Well, and it's like, it comes back to like, I think I told you that quote that I saw. I'm going to look it up real quick. There was Gary Vee went on a podcast called The 9 Club, which is a skateboarding podcast. It's really cool. I'll actually link his podcast in this description below because it's not super skate focused, and he owns the fact that he knows nothing really about the skateboard world, but he tries to learn everything he can. But one of the quotes in there was really impactful to me, and it was, you want to build a community? Stop being full of shit, because most people, when they say community, they mean customers and money. And that's like a big thing for us, is like, it's never been about the money. And like that one, it gave me chills when I heard that. I was like, it's never been about the money. We've taken money once out of this company for ourselves. And outside of that, we're working other jobs. Like, we're showing up every day here because we give a shit.
It's for the clout for me. I'm just
For
kidding.
the cool points.
Yeah, totally.
But like, really, you know, we
No,
give a
100%.
shit, and like, I really hope that shines through in all the things that we're doing. It's like, we're not here for the money, because if we were, we'd probably have given up a long time ago.
100%.
You know, and like, maybe it comes one day, maybe it doesn't. But regardless, we're stoked to be here, and we're stoked to be putting out new products and trying to innovate and like give back to the industry that gave us everything. Like,
I understand why 80% of small businesses fail. Like, if our heart wasn't in it and we had been working, 3-4 years without really taking much from it, like, we've been allowing this, flower to grow, and we haven't wanted to like pick it before it's fully bloomed. And if it wasn't an industry or industries that we care about, if it wasn't something that our heart was fully into, year 2, year 3 would have been out.
Yeah.
But like,
we would have been, full on burnt out.
Yeah. And it's just like, for us, it's like, there is no plan B. It's like, we're going to stick it out no matter what, because we know it's going to succeed.
Well, and
in our heart, we know it's going to happen.
We don't feel like there's any other option.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth noting, since we're on the topic right now, but like, we're very fortunate to be around the people that we're around.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people around us that are interested in investing and have expressed that interest to us. And we haven't even given the chance to, for consideration or in showing them that we're interested in that. And I think the big reason is the amount of freedom that we have to create something truly on our own.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's a unique position to be in. Nobody tells us what we have to do or what we have to say. And like, we don't have a bank over our head saying, hey, we need our money back. Like, we are a fully cash operated business from our own pockets, and like, now it's self-sustaining, but in the beginning it wasn't. No. And like, now it's really cool to look around and be like, okay, the opportunity for investment is there, but we don't need it. And we don't want it, because we're able to operate in our own way. And I think it would take a lot for us to agree to somebody to invest in this business, because we have built something so real. And I hate to say the word authentic, but authentic, it's truly an extension of you and I.
Yeah. If we brought a partner on, it would have to be like a silent partner.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's why we started. You and I are hard pressed to let the word no, get in front of us.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was a big thing.
Or to do something that's like kooky,
kooky,
if somebody was like, hey, we need to speak this way to these people. It's like
100%, but it's like more like, hey, we want to drop this way, and we heard no, we'd be like, fuck you. Like, that was a big thing. Like, team sports and all this stuff. It's why I quit. I got into diving as a kid. I was a swimmer, and like, my coach was like, that's too hard for you. You can't do that. And I was just like, fuck, I can't. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why BMX is good, Go as big
freedom.
as you can. Freedom, exactly.
And that's, we've touched on this before, but like, we're creating our own utopia here. Yeah. And that's how fortunate are we for that.
It's the same thing, we had our, creative style on a bike. Same thing in a brand.
Yep.
We're doing the same exact thing. And I think that's why we both see on the same level. It's like, we did the same thing growing up. And now it's like, all right, how do we make this our own? How do we make other people feel like they're a part of it? Because it's just like being at the skate park. You're all vibing, trying to get each other to ride.
It's a true, genuine community. Because regardless of if you buy coffee from us or not, we want you to be here. You don't have to buy coffee to be a part of the Traction family. If you like an Instagram post, you're part of the fucking family, dude. If you're listening to this podcast and you never bought coffee from us, you're part of the Traction family. I do not care if you spend money with us. If you're here, you're part of the family.
Come have a beer.
Yeah. Come hang out anytime. Like, that's what this is all about. It is about community, and that's the same thing when it comes to collaboration. We're building community through collaboration. We want to work with people. We want to work with people where we can elevate one another, whether that be an individual or a company or whatever it is. We are so fortunate to be in the place to do that. We're so fortunate to be surrounded by incredible humans. The Traction family literally is fucking unreal. We are, I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of cool shit. I feel like I've been around a lot of cool shit. And every time I really step back and like look at what we have in front of us and around us, dude, it's
we're so close to it, and it's hard, like, head down processing orders, doing design, roast, whatever it is. And then it's like, it's kind of when we get in this room or just take a step back and, you know, have the group events that you really see it and you're like, holy shit, you know, it's.
Or even like the, you know, more recently with the podcast is like the messages from people that are like, you know, this makes my workday a little easier.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm going through something and the fact that you guys touched on this really helps. It's like that almost to me is more fulfilling than when I see an order come through.
Yeah.
You know, it's because it's like people can relate and like, you know, I feel fortunate that we can tell those stories and like maybe help somebody else out, because I also look at other people's brands or podcasts or whatever it is and I'm like, I can relate to that. Thank you.
I know. I've been getting the same things and it's hard. It's hard to listen to these. You know, I don't like to listen to myself talk. And people are like, dude, yeah, same thing. My work day, I just put it on. It's been so great. I can't wait till Friday.
Yep.
Can't wait till Friday. And I'm like, fuck. You know, like when we first did it, I was like, I don't want it corny. I don't want it kooky. Because it's like,
it's so easy to make it that way. But I think the perception is that because so many, I wouldn't say so many, but there's a lot of people out there that force these type of things because they want to be a podcaster or whatever, a YouTuber or whatever. It's like, was never our intention. We just want to tell cool stories and share people's cool stories. And like, if that inadvertently makes us a podcaster, that's cool, you know, but it's genuine again, you know, like we're not, whatever comes of this outside of us just telling stories, we're stoked on, you know, but we're not doing it for any sort of reason other than that.
I'm doing it for the clout.
But, this guy. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel so fortunate that we're able to do this. And, you know, you talk about people waiting for the Fridays, and I think it's a good thing to bring up right now. It's like, we're going to try and do bi-weekly guests. And then every other week in between those, we're going to try and do these little episodes where we talk about, you know, whether it's a Snapchill product or a new product release that we have coming, or maybe just an update on the coffee market or whatever it is. If that's something you guys are interested in, we'll keep these types of episodes rolling. You know, I think I had a lot of fun sitting down and talking about, not really telling a story, but talking about, you know, some transparency, the process, and why this thing came about. So
why it's badass.
Yeah.
2 of these already this morning, but yeah.
That's your second one? Damn, living.
Early, I know. But yeah, thank you for everyone tagging along, and keep staying scared of normal.
Hell yeah. We're going to keep sipping on these things. We got some orders to go package. Let's go get the work done.
Boom.
Hell
See you next Friday.
Cheers.